Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf, Roger. Request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. And 8 Plow, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go. I copied a while ago, 1 Charlie transmission that my thing used, and 8 5, this is 7 November, Charlie. 8 5 right now. Now 1 Charlie, 7 November, go.
This is 1 Charlie, reference to your last, you're Brandon 158, extra 5 o'clock, 1200 between teams, and local. Also request 3 units take inbound records to see if we can try to get 59 and 8 for pause to the playground.
And this is 7 November, Roger, stand by.
Got that.
Got it? Alright. And all units, this is 7 November Golf, my unit Alpha, Echo, X-ray Alpha Alpha in there.
One Charlie, Alpha Bravo.
Hey, I never took a dip. I forgot to take a dip.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf, Roger. Request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. And 8 Plow, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go.
Hey, Clay, we didn't say who was going to lead off, so I'm just going to do it, if you don't mind. So welcome, everybody. We're streaming on 3 channels here. It is the TheCivDiv, Veterans Info Tap, and Veterans Daily, our joint channel. If you are not subscribed to all 3, I mean, you probably are subscribed to at least one, but please hit us all up with the subscriptions. It really does help out with the channels and expanding the reach. My thumbnail on Veterans Info Tap was specific to the changes that are coming from the VA and how you can really prep up and get ready by knowing what's coming, right? If you know what's coming, you know what you can do today to put you in a better situation. And that's kind of going to be the discussion that we have, whether it's you working on it yourself, working with our company, Evidence-Based VA Claims, which, look, we have you live, and I might as well just say it. I'm going to do a video on this too, Clay, so I'd love to just kind of get your reaction here. Essentially, the thumbnail is beware.
Too. Yeah, let's hear
Yeah,
it.
so beware, right? And here's what you need to beware of. Self-proclaimed VA gurus out there. There are a ton, and they keep popping up. And what do they hang their hat on? I've been dealing with the VA for X number of years. Okay, with what? Your own claim? Because that doesn't count. I'm sorry. There are so many nuances, and I know I say it all the time, but there are literally so many different variations that unless you have deep dived into everything and have been surrounded by this environment, you're lacking the knowledge that you need to really be successful beyond the vanilla stuff that people can typically just do themselves with a couple YouTube videos. I know that I'm really stretching this out, Clay. I could go, that is just nails on a chalkboard for me, is the self-proclaimed gurus. I mean, look, I was accredited by the VA, and I rarely even say that. on anything that I've, out of the 2,000-ish videos I've done, I could probably say I've said that less than 10 times. So with that, let's push it over to you. Tell the folks what we want to talk about today and how they can prep up.
Yeah, so there's some huge changes to VA disability ratings happening. The scheduled meeting was August 19th and 20th, I believe. That was canceled. It was pushed to September 4th. Don't quote me on that. It's in September. It's somewhere in my email through the Fed Reg. And so basically what can happen is about October. I would still plan for October personally. That makes the most sense. But of course, they can kick it down the road. And we're talking about big changes to mental health. I personally don't think those are going to be favorable. I'm still on that hill. Sorry, Jason.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Tinnitus, I think it can be favorable, but for a very small sliver of veterans, specifically in like the TBI, vertigo, like the neurological field there, migraines as well. And then sleep apnea, all around bad. Although I did have a conversation with someone who they didn't change their mind on sleep apnea. It still sucks. However, I think everyone has skipped over that 30% criteria there. And so it still exists, right? There's no change to the 30% criteria. We're really focusing on the CPAP, going down to 0, which is true, but that still doesn't negate the 30% criteria. So although it still sucks,
it just sucks a little less.
It just sucks a little less, yes. But the most important thing is, first off, when a VA rating, like what it comes down to when it comes to evidence-based VA claims, straight up, here's your answer. When a rating change happens, further guidance per that specific disability, GERD and IBS was a great example there. You're going to see guidance in M21 TAC 1 that will establish, like, okay, how do we deal with the effective dates? How do we deal with the intent to file? And so with GERD and IBS, it was the intent to file. As long as the intent to file was prior, you're good to go. No sweat. That's like a very blanket. There's a little more nuances, right? I like to say. And so we can assume that for these ratings as well. However, if you want to be the safest possible,
right,
there's two things you need to do. And I'm just talking about the safest. First is diagnosis. No diagnosis, no claim. I think that's pretty. You would think it's obvious, but it's not. Every time, like whenever I'm reviewing veterans, I read every single email, by the way, through evidence-based VA claims, and we're well over 2,000 emails since we just started. I've read them all. I cannot tell you how many veterans are upset they're denied, and I look at their letters and there's no diagnosis. Right. I'm just like, well, next.
Yeah.
Whatever. So you need a diagnosis, right? Sorry, I kind of got off track there. The safest thing you can do, have a diagnosis, submit your claim right now. I'm telling you, email. Hold on. I have something really cool for us, Jason. Email VA claims at ebvaclaims.com.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'm serious about this. If you want the safest intent to file, the safest effective date to get both rating schedules, you need to have your diagnosis, you need to have your evidence in place, and submit your claim. That is the best answer when it comes to tackling these major changes. And look, at the end of the day, this is good. I'm telling you, this is going to be a moment where I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Right now, you're in the coulda.
Right.
Here in a couple of weeks, it's going to be, I wish I would have. Right.
And here's the thing. This goes to the whole point that I'm trying to make is that you might hear I might hear what you're saying and just go, oh, okay, cool. But what I picked up in there, because I'm been in this world in veterans benefits in like paid capacities as leadership for over a decade, right? Either as an accredited veteran service officer with representatives under me, or as the director of a nonprofit helping homeless veterans. Still, that was the tip of the spear, but then all the benefits come behind that, and employment services. Here's the thing. One of the things that you had wrapped in all of that was this. That diagnosis is important, because if you don't have a diagnosis, you don't have a condition. If you don't have a condition, you don't have a claim. But check this out. If you put in your intent to file and then you get diagnosed 6 months later, well, that's when you develop the condition, right? Is that 6 months later mark. Now what happens is one of two things. If it's a presumptive condition, cool, you have that date. But if it's not a presumptive, you have to start building a bridge back in time to tie it to your time in service. Okay, some way, somehow. So migraines, maybe it backs all the way up to your time in service. Maybe it was sniffing jet fuel that caused a problem, and then later on it developed, and you can get a Nexus letter for that. But all of these things, here's the point, could change your effective date for that specific condition. You know, if you got some sort of a cancer, for example, that's a presumptive, and that cancer popped up here, and you get diagnosed here, that's your effective date, not back in your time in service, right? So there's so many different ways, you know, for somebody who's doing a BDD claim, benefits delivery at discharge, who's getting out, their effective date could potentially be the day after their discharge for that first year, just filing anything, you don't even need to do an intent to file. It's kind of like there's automatically an intent to file. All that to say is that there's so many different things that really complicate, honestly, the process. Unless you get it, you don't know, and you're firing blindly in the middle of the night at whatever makes a sound. And that's how friendly fire happens, right? So it's much better to operate when you can see what's going on and you have a clear picture. And really, at the end of the day, that's what we're about at Evidence-Based VA Claims. And that's why we developed this. Now, let's talk about these changes. It's important. You touched on this too, Clay. There's two things that have now happened that are making us, and probably others out there, feel as though August is not going to be the date that the rating schedule will change, because one, this meeting has now moved. And the meeting that we're talking about is the VA Advisory Committee on Disability Compensation. And one of their the only real agenda item was actually the rating schedules, a discussion on rating schedules. Well, what's being changed? 4 rating schedules. Okay. It's your auditory, respiratory, neurological, and your mental health. Those are your 4 rating schedules that are changing. There's less now than before when this stuff used to happen. There used to be more people, naysayers. Nah, that's just hearsay. They're not really going to change it. They change them. And they've changed, I believe, 10 of them now. They're wrapping out the last. Maybe 10 is like 2/3. They got the last third that they're working on to get changed due to medical advancements and, you know, better success rates and whatever. All things that aren't good from a rating potential, typically for veterans. So these are the changes that we have coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about some specific ones a little deeper. I'd love to talk about mental health, Clay, just because you and I are on different pages and there's a lot of people with mental health. And let's also remember that mental health ratings are not just PTSD. Okay. So yes, PTSD, obviously, but there's also a lot of other ones out there, folks that have mental health ratings. And some people might be at 10 or 30 or 50. I personally believe we have the opportunity to increase from those ratings, but we'll let you go ahead and talk a little bit about the specifics with this rating schedule change. And again, I'm going to throw this out there. Actually, I'm going to pose it as a question, and then I'll let you jump into the mental health. Here's the question. Why are you leaning toward October as a potential? Nobody really knows. We don't have a crystal ball. It's all speculation at this point. But why do you think that it's a possibility to see it in October? I already know the answer because you told me before, but I want to hear you. I want to hear if you changed it.
No, so it's strictly from a budget perspective, right? The budget's FY. There are budget, I'm going to call them notes or anecdotes or considerations. in the Fed reg, right? In the register, that are really budgetary focused. This entire administration's budgetary focused. This can's been kicked down the road. It's in September. The VA secretary is scheduled to speak on that. We have the agenda. That's going to be pretty cool. Assuming he says things that we like, right? But that's mainly the reason here. Now, I do want to go into mental health, but before I do, Jason, I want to I saw a comment and I really want to dig into why we do what we do. All right. First off, I totally missed this person. Sean, I'm just going to say Z. Thank you very much. You are awesome, right? We look forward to you watching our videos. We definitely appreciate that. That's not what I wanted to get into. I wanted to get into this question here because it has something to do with the changes, and it has something to do with having someone in your corner that understands the big picture. Okay. So it says, Nathan Jahar says, just got diagnosed with upper radiculopathy, right? That's in the arms. Have a neck and back rating already. That part really matters. Does it matter that I was just diagnosed a short time ago? Is this a straightforward secondary claim? Thanks. If you put that question on Facebook or Reddit or whatever, everyone and their mom is going to tell you it's a super easy secondary, right?
Or they're going to say, don't poke the bear.
Yeah. Or yeah, one of two answers. I apologize, right? They'll say, don't poke the bear, or it's a super easy secondary claim, which it is. So go ahead and do it. And they will give you that advice without understanding who you are and your VA claim situation. So before I could answer this, here's what we would do at evidence-based VA claims. First, I want to know what your overall rating is, right? Let's say you're at 85%. You get 10% left arm, 10% right arm. Guess what? Now you're at 87. Congrats. You started at 90 and now you're at 90. Right? Like what's the difference there? Okay. That's one consideration. Another consideration, let's say you have a 30% rating for your neck, which by the way is a solid rating for your neck. But let's say your range of motion has increased since then, right? Okay, you do a radiculopathy claim secondary. Guess what's on the same DBQ as cervical and radiculopathy? Both of them. So your neck is going to be reevaluated. So you're putting your 30% at risk to be knocked down to 10. So congrats, that 85 you were at with your 30% neck just became a 73, right? And so now you actually got a lower rating. And those are easy wave top issues, right? Those are considerations that like a claim coach, one of our claim coaches will just talk with you and really understand what's going on. Also, you're only focused on this claim. What about everything else, right? A lot of veterans get tunnel vision there. So yes. I just wanted to, answer your question, Nathan. So the question is, answer all those, and then I'll give you your answer, right? It's probably yes. It depends. I just wanted to kind of give an example of like, hey, here's what we really do, right? Now, I love the mental health discussion because we normally agree on most things, but not this, right? So I don't think it's favorable at all. I think hundreds would be 70, 70 would be 50, and 50 would be 30. At the end of the day, that's what I see. It really boils down to the CNP examiner specifically and their ability to really, truly evaluate your lifestyle, because the new criteria is so lifestyle focused that I am not sold that a 45-minute CNP exam with an examiner who just met you, who is skimming through your files, who doesn't know you, is not going to be able to do an accurate assessment. And I think that's not going to be in veterans' favor at all. And that's the hill I'm dying on. And I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. So, okay. So all of that to say is with proper preparation. So this is right that the Clay will bring the cloud out and I'll bring the lining. So everything that Clay said, it just means prepare in my mind. If you know what the VA is looking for, you have the ability to prepare. And if you have the ability to prepare, the ball is back in your court, right? So for those that don't know, the ratings, well, and let's do this. With Clay's perspective, file your mental health now and get ready like ASAP would be that advice, right? So, because mental health will typically have a pretty decent rating. It's not your 10% tinnitus, right? It's you have a potential of getting a 30, a 50, a 70, are your kind of your typical range. Now, what's happening for those that don't know is they're changing the rating, the way that they rate mental health. And they're really breaking mental health kind of into 5 different components or buckets. They're calling them domains. Okay, so domains, 5 buckets for you. And they have them labeled. Go figure. Makes it easier for you to prepare. So 1 is cognition. 2 is interpersonal interactions and relationships. 3 is task completion and life activities. 4 is navigating environments. And 5 is self-care. So there's these 5 buckets that they're going to evaluate individually. So if you have a provider who's working with you, you could actually start working and having this discussion now. And what they're looking at is a level of severity of a 0 to a 4, 4 being the most severe. And so signifies total, and 0 is 0 difficulties. So you would explain this to your provider. Now, if your provider can't, won't, or doesn't, because everybody's different and every situation's different, and it might be a VA provider who's like, oh, this, I don't really want to, or you're trying to document stuff for your VA claim, I don't want to, or whatever. Utilize American medical experts. This is what they do. They're board certified doctors. They have all of this stuff. You can have this discussion with them. Pull in your medical records, send them to them, they'll go through them, and then they can carry on from there. At the end of the day, your VA claim is a multi-million-dollar deal. And sometimes you need to roll up your sleeves a little bit and actually work your claim to develop it and get all of the pieces in place. Nobody's saying do fraud, but people are saying here, do what you need to do to document your condition appropriately as it relates to the VA rating schedule. Okay. So you have these buckets, these 5 different buckets. Each one is going to give you a different level. Now, here's the funny thing. There's 2 pieces here, and then I'm going to kick it back to Clay. They're going to measure the severity in each one of your buckets. 4 is the most, you're completely debilitated, and 0 is nothing. But what nobody ever talks about is the fact that you only need to be at that level of severity 25% of the time. That's 6 hours out of a 24-hour day, for example, right? That's 1 day out of 4 days. So you could vary, right? Mental health is never constant, right? You have good days, you have bad days. I'm just saying, right? So, for example, it says here, in order to be at a 3 level of impairment, which they consider severe, that impairment must occur 25% or more of the time. I mean, this is a very, very important aspect. You can't, in other words, you can't go talk to your provider or anybody else who's going to help you with a DBQ or any sort of a letter outlining your severity and say, am I a 1, 2, 3, 4 or a 0, period. You need to throw in that at least 25% of the time. It's a big, huge difference. Now, knowing that, all of a sudden, obtaining these different levels looks different. I'm mostly a 2, but boy, that, I got a couple triggers. I got a couple things that happen here, happen there. There's a few bad days. It's at least 25% of the time that I'm into the level 3. Okay, well, now you're a level 3. If you're a level 3 in 2 of the 5 domains, that's 100% rating. In my opinion, if you understand what the VA is looking for and you work with a doctor or medical provider who's willing to understand the rating schedule, who's willing to help you complete the DBQ, a Nexus letter if need be, or just maybe a Nexus letter, depends, or just a letter outlining the severity of your mental health condition, you're golden. That is going to carry so much weight, and it also preps you as you walk into the CNP exam, because now you've already went through all this, you've had those discussions, you've done your own research, you know what they're looking for, and you're taking that with you to the CNP exam and having that same conversation there. My doctor and I, we went all through all this, and there's some good days, but there's definitely some bad days. I'm at least this at that, right? So anyway, so that's my perspective on it. Clay, please tell me I'm wrong.
I've been waiting this whole time.
Please.
So I don't see, this is going to be so cloudy, just for the record. I don't see the VA awarding 100% for mental health left and right.
Right. No.
Not even slightly. And so when we see on the schedule rating change 2 3s equal 100%, while that is true, I think what we think a 3 is not what a 3 is. I think a 3 is way more severe. Right now, the most common mental health ratings are 50 and 70, like by far. And I think we're going to see, I think the criteria is better organized for an examiner and a rater giving the rating.
Yeah.
It's favorable in that sense. I think it's unfavorable from a veteran who is describing their symptoms when the bar is being raised. So a 70, in my opinion, a 70% in the future for mental health is going to be a lot harder. A 3, or was it 3 and 2 2s, is going to be a lot harder to obtain than it is now, right? 70% now is easier. Now, I will give you this, and this is, Kish is a retired VA rater. He's also one of our claim coaches. So if you use evidence-based VA claims because you got brains, Kish could be your coach, right? Anyways, I'll tell you this, he's siding with you. So shame on you, Kish. Whose team are you on, really? No, kidding.
That's right.
Because I find the mental health changes to be more favorable.
I'll mail the check tomorrow.
It puts more weight in the credible lay statements for the rater to overturn the examiner.
Wow. That's solid.
And that's coming from a VA rater.
And I didn't even think about that. So look, here's the in between the lines on that. That statement can happen and has happened. Yeah. So it's nice to know that they have that sort of power, if given the appropriate evidence. Hey, of course you are. Of course you are. Hey, here's my piece on this. You say that we don't know how hard it's going to be to get to a 3. Okay. For the uninformed, uneducated veteran who's just blindfolded, I'm filing for an increase. Sure. Absolutely. They're at the whim of the VA CMP exam, and they wrote no lay statement themselves, and they had no family members write anything. They've done no footwork, and they're just bubbling through the process. Of course, they're screwed. But again, I'm going to go back to, they're spelling it out for you. Do this before you even file your claim. You should be having these conversations. And here's the thing. We're talking about 100% rating for mental health alone. It's the highest you're going to get for this. And this is what it would take. 2 3s. Okay. What's a 3? A 3 is considered severe. Remember that it's only 25% of the time, because mental health is not a steady line. It's an up and down line. So 25% of the time. What is severe? Well, let's see what the VA says severe is. It's serious. That sounds serious. It's serious difficulties in one or more aspects of cognitive functioning that interfere with tasks, activities, relationships. You're at home, you're depressed, you're having issues. You're like, I just need to be in the room by myself. Don't talk to me. Or it could be I'm throwing plates against the wall. Or it could be I walk down to my job and my boss is wanting to write me up because I walked down. It could be a whole host of things. It could be I can't focus on this task because I have such anxiety and stress because the person across from me is doing whatever that's just triggering me. Who knows, right? Everybody has a different story. But the point is, 25% of the time, tells you right here, serious difficulties in one or more aspects of cognitive functioning that interfere with tasks, activities, and relationships, or relationships, it's an or. So if you're aware and educated, Clay, you're prepared. And if you're prepared, you can have the dialogue that you need to have with your provider to get that all documented. Thank you very much. And like Kish said, knock out some lay statements, your own personal statement, get statements from family members, spouses, parents, brothers, sisters, aunts, cousins, children, people that see you often though, right? Not somebody who sees you once a year, but the people that are in your daily life. And get that solid letter from your provider that says, this is how I would rate you on a 0 to 4 scale, with 4 being the most severe. I can't help but think that if you have solid lay evidence, solid medical evidence, and because you're the one that led that, you know it, now you're walking into a C&P exam that you're not going to have a favorable outcome. I can't imagine it. And if it was bad, then I refer to Kish and his statement. And then if that was bad, then no board of Veterans Appeals would ever go, that one little snippet out of a C&P exam for 37 minutes is going to override all this other stuff from another provider too as well. Okay, that's my hill.
Yeah.
And I will stay there.
Yeah, no, that's we'll see. We will
I'm going to get passionate.
We have a few comments that we really need to answer because they're super chats.
Okay.
However, I can't let you get the last word. No, I'm
okay. There's that.
Right.
Go.
I just can't see the VA handing out 2 3s for 100% like candy.
Maybe there'll be another ratings change.
I don't see. Hey, we're gonna go back to the old way. Sorry, guys. I don't see that happening. I don't think it's going to be as easy as we are perceiving it to be. Okay. Vic Matt, and you can totally counter that here in a second. I just had to get the last word in. Got a C&P exam on 7/28. Now the VA is doing an ACE. Just wondering why. So first, how many conditions are we talking about? You know, is it a gen med? And then you have like your back, maybe some feet, some shoulders, and that gen med C&P exam. And then you have like a sleep apnea claim secondary to mental health. That could be an ACE, right? So like a C&P exam does not review your entire VA claim. It's just the claims that the VA sends to that specific examiner, that specialty. It's supposed to be a specialty. Good luck. Anyways,
tell them what ACE is. What I mean, for the people that have no clue what that even is, they're like,
ACE is a. I'm trying to think of the acronym. So
the real acronym is acceptable clinical evidence.
Yeah.
So you provided.
The exam happens without you, although they can call you. The VA will tell you the examiner will tell you to be prepared. And essentially they don't have to see you in person to have the exam or even talk to you. The evidence is already there, and it's likely they just need an opinion, right? Hey, this veteran has sleep apnea. They have the diagnosis. They have the evidence linking it to mental health. Examiner, what is your opinion? And they're just going to look at the evidence, right? And that happens with or without you. They're not good nor bad. It's just the way it is. Okay. I can't say your name, dude. I'm just gonna say JC, not for Jesus Christ. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. Anyways, my neck denied. Okay. VA says my degenerative disc disease and pheromonal stenosis are age related, but records show onset in service and progression after. Thoughts and higher level review now. Higher level review would have been my recommendation there. However, The main question in my head is, how long ago are we talking about? Are we talking about the 90s? If so, it's like a 30-year time gap. What's your evidence from 1992 to right now? Right? You got out in 92. You have neck complaints. Great. Okay. The last 30 years, you don't have a persistent disability. And the examiner is going to call you out on that, by the way. What does that evidence look like?
Right.
If I had to bet money, that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
But I don't know either. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jason?
Yeah. You know what? HLRs are great, and for two reasons. One, it might get fixed. Two, hopefully, actually, there's a few reasons. So the other thing is I hope that you check the box that was for the informal conference, so you can actually have a conversation, because you can pick up some information if you need to, if they're still denying it, really, so you kind of know where you need to go. It buys you time to continue to develop your evidence, so you can start working on that. Okay, well, if they turn me down still, what can I do today to help me if I file a supplemental claim? And Clay, you nailed it. A lot of times it's going to be that additional evidence. What I like to think about here is the lay evidence really comes in clutch when you're explaining the why, right? So if you can treat things with over-the-counter and, ice pack at night and, Motrin or a heat pad, and you're just doing that, and that's how you're living your life, and you did that for X number of years, and now all of a sudden you're like, well, maybe I shouldn't be taking Motrin, like 800 milligrams of Motrin twice a day, every single day. Maybe that's not good. Maybe I need to make a change, right? You writing a solid statement explaining how you lived and done that is good. Having statements from family members that could attest to that, also good. Third would be having that discussion with your doctor and having them implement that into the Nexus letter, where they're really tying it all back to your time in service, that, it is more than likely, or at least as likely as not, is kind of that minimum threshold type of a roadmap, I would think.
Yeah. And we have three more. So Naomi, thank you for being a member. Appreciate that. No idea whose channel that is, but if it helps one of us, it helps all of us. So thank you very much for that. And then I want to answer these two, and I really want to get to tinnitus and sleep apnea. At least spend a fair amount of time on those, because those are massive changes too. Family Crosby. Okay. Lying in bed after total knee replacement. Thanks for the entertainment for us vet disability nerds. Awesome. Thank you. Right, for donating that. Appreciate it. Also, don't forget knee replacement. If that service connected, that's a 30% rating off the bat. Boom, you're good.
Also, tip 100.
There's a temporary 100%
tip 100, yeah,
as well. So it just depends on what situation you're in, if it's connected or not. So 30% ratings for your knees are absolutely solid. Many secondaries start stemming off of that, because you have real problems. All right, Nathan, again, two-time champion. Nathan, thank you very much for that. Okay. Says 10% for neck, 20% for back. This is on the radiculopathy question that we answered at first. Increases for both. 10% for lower leg. Each pain numbness is worse. CMP on Friday, 92% overall. So now that we have some information on this, your 10% for your neck, that's at least makes me comfortable to tell you to go for it. You have the diagnosis for radiculopathy in your arms. Your spine's still going to get looked. That spine DBQ is massive. Okay. So your lower spine is going to get looked at as well. And then that also comes with the nerve damage in your leg. So you're going to have nerve left arm, nerve right arm, neck, lower spine, lower back, nerve left leg, nerve right leg. Don't forget about femoral nerves. You can have 2 additional ratings on that, depending on what that looks like for you. You're at 92%
bilateral factor
right now. You had the bilateral factor. You get both of those, you could be well on your way to 100%. So that's good news. And then we have a last one that snuck in here. Common Man 80 says, drive on. Your education you got in the military question was a life's lesson. We as soldiers keep us a great nation. Lots of emojis. Awesome. Thanks, dude. Definitely appreciate it. I will say this. I try not to like overhype military service too much because we do get a lot of that. However, a 22-year-old coming out of the Marine Corps infantry is well prepared for life. And even if they're homeless, they're prepared to be homeless as well because that's what the infantry is.
Yeah. And janitorial work.
Infantry Marines are the best homeless people ever. They're good homeless people, and they're good janitors as well. But yeah, I tried to do a joke there. I feel like it didn't hit the audience. I know we can't see their reaction, but I just feel it just everyone's like, okay, dude, that's not funny. Tinnitus, Jason. Rope us in with tinnitus. What are we looking at here? Ringing of the ears. What's going on? Yeah, see, and they say it did not hit. I think Jason froze. Man, the joke was so bad it made him freeze. Hi. I said my joke was so bad it made you freeze.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it wasn't that great. But tinnitus. Yeah. Tinnitus is not great either, so it's a good follow-up. It actually makes you look a little bit better. Yeah, tonight, you know, I don't know where you fall on this anymore. You at first you were like, it's not that big of a deal. You're kind of okay with it. It's actually not that bad. I think it sucks and it's horrible. I think that the fact that with this proposed rating schedule change for auditory, specifically to tinnitus, what's happening is the VA wants to remove, delete, eliminate the diagnostic code for tinnitus, essentially saying for VA purposes, a diagnosis specifically for tinnitus is nothing. It doesn't exist. It's not there. No, you don't have ringing in your ears just because. So now what the VA wants to do is go, okay, it's great that you were a mechanic with pneumatic tools going off next to your ear, or you were a mortarman or artillery or whatever else was noisy, working on jet engines. That's great. And now you got ringing in your ears. That's awesome. But we're not going to rate you for that because we don't acknowledge ringing in the ears due to loud noise. So because that's not what we do here anymore, sir or ma'am, what we're going to do is we're going to try to see if there is another condition in which your tinnitus is a symptom of. Then the VA is going to do you no favors. Then it's on you actually to prove to the VA that your tinnitus is the symptom of another condition and that, oh, that other condition is actually service related. So I believe that the VA has now taken a condition that was fairly cut and dry, pretty easy. In a lot of our cases, here's my MOS. I did this. My head was next to a 81 millimeter mortar over and over again. I have ringing in my ear. Go figure. Hey, you're approved. Went from that to, yeah, it's not that. Give us a different reason why you have that. So I believe that they have really lifted the bar very high with trying to get anything rated for that. Because really, you're getting rated for something else now instead of tinnitus. So I think it's a horrible move on the VA spot, and I think that it's quite frankly a poke in the eye for anybody in a very noise polluted environment. So your jet engine guys, your pneumatic tools, your mortars, your artillery, the tankers, all that type of stuff. I think it's a poke in the eye to all of them. It's not like it was a huge rating; it was 10%, but at least you got recognized for the fact that you can never turn off the alarm. You know what I mean? So, your thoughts?
Yeah. I think the biggest slap in the face is to all the veterans who that's all they claimed is tinnitus. Right. Or that's all they would have claimed because we're talking about the future here. And that opens the door to VA healthcare, right? We're talking about like eligibility. And so that's probably the biggest, I'm just guessing here. That's like the biggest change. Getting a little conspiracy theory here. I won't go too deep. I'm sorry. I can't not do it. It's in my DNA. Tinnitus is known as the gold mine claim, which I can't stand that for tinnitus. There are real gold mine claims out there. Tinnitus isn't one of them. Hypertension is a great one. Obesity is a great one. Okay. But all the theories around tinnitus, 10% getting you 100, that's gone. That is gone, gone, gone. And in my opinion, that is how tinnitus kind of made its way to the top of the man. Let's change that rating. We can't have that.
Right.
Sorry, there's just a big cloud. It's raining where I'm at today.
That's right.
My bad. I do think though, for a small sliver of veterans, and if you don't know, myself and Jason were both mortarmen in the Marine Corps, in the infantry, served decades apart. That's a bad joke.
Decades.
Many decades, right?
I think you had a stress card or something. You got to, I don't know, something when you were in boot camp. You got to
like that.
say,
we do not do that.
Yeah.
So we know what tinnitus is. Okay, I can tell you right now, I know exactly what tinnitus is. I think there's a small sliver of veterans who will benefit from this.
Right.
And it's mainly on the neurological side, right? So if you have TBI issues, if you have vertigo or dizziness issues, I think that will be in your favor in the future, not now. But outside of that, welcome to the suck. That's all we got. And to make matters worse, I think we should transition into sleep apnea here.
Good.
I think everyone agrees. I haven't heard a single person say sleep apnea changes are favorable at all. Now, I know everyone's harping on the CPAP because that's what's in the 38 CFR. It's not just the CPAP. It's your apnea episodes and what treatments you would rate. So there's mouth guards, there's mouth tape. I don't know if that's medically approved yet, but it's all over the internet. There's other treatments that would still rate 50%. And what's crazy, Jason, is this is what sucks. So if your CPAP works, you're 0%. Okay. Well, it's good that it works. It sucks that you just lost 50%, which, by the way, is free healthcare by the VA. That's another slap in the face, but we're not even there yet. So let's say your CPAP doesn't work and you would be 50%. It's not that buck's not going to stop there. It's going to be like, okay, well, have you tried mouth guard or the tape or whatever else they got? I don't have, you can look at me. I don't have sleep apnea. Okay. Right. But that's, I think it's much worse than we think.
Right.
Because it's like, what other treatments do work? And is that also going to bring you down to 0? I think that answer is yes. However, it was brought to my attention by Kish the other day where we've really skipped the 30% mark, which that's not going away. So we could see potential for more 30% ratings. I think by far everyone would agree that 50% for sleep apnea is not going to be the norm.
Right. Yeah. Where before it kind of was. That was kind of the norm. I think the tale of this story is be aware. Changes are coming. If you have these types of things, either as a service connectable condition, direct, or as a secondary, you need to put in your intent to file. You need to start developing your claim as fast as possible, and you need to get that claim filed. The sooner the better when it comes to this, especially when it comes to percentages with the VA funny math. I know we don't have a lot of time, but just to give a quick example to folks out there how the VA funny math works, right? Everybody pretty much understands that 50 and 50 does not equal 100. Well, 50, 50, and 50 plus a 350 still doesn't equal 100 in the VA's world. So the quick example here, 50%, if you have 50% ratings, head, body, and toes, whatever, the VA takes your highest rating first, and they go, okay, you're 50% bad. Well, that means you're still 50% good. Then they go, okay, well, your next highest rating, 50%. Well, 50% of your 50% good is 25. 25 to your 50 is now 75. That means you're 75% bad, but you're still 25% good. They take your last rating in this example, 50%. 50% of your 25 is 12.5. They take that, add it to your 75, you're 87.5. There's no more ratings, so that rounds to 88. So your true rating is 88. Then they round you to 90 for compensation purposes. So 350s equals 90 in the VA's world. Back over to you, Clay.
Yeah, the VA. I'm just in the mood to make people mad today, I guess. Here's a hot take for you. No, but not planned, by the way. I think the VA rating system is correct. I think how they add ratings is correct, because when you look at your ability to work and how the math works, every veteran can't be 100%. I think the sooner veterans realize that, the better it is, right? To be properly rated. I already know that's just, I'm going to get hate mail. Okay, whatever. I'm just saying, I think it's fair.
But it's not, it's about understanding how it works.
Yeah,
This is how it works.
What is it called? It's a disability rating. Your disability rating, and then there's another rating that's good. They use a word for it. I totally forgot what it is. But when you understand the good rating, it's like, oh, okay. Like I am 50% disabled for mental health. That doesn't mean that half the time at my job I can't work, right? So there's some the math is way more complicated than I think.
Now something else I want to throw out, because you mentioned taking away the 50%. And so I want to be clear, because people still get a little confused.
Please, yes.
Nothing's going to get taken away from anybody who's already rated. The VA cannot reduce your rating solely based on a rating schedule change. It's law. It's in 3 different places. It's in public law. It's in the CFR. It's somewhere else. All of that language is there protecting you against that. And even so much, and I would love for Kish to chime in on this. I'm trying to find it here. Even so much so that in the VA's news release that they did on these specific rating schedule changes, it says here, when the proposed changes are finalized, veterans who currently receive compensation for a service-connected condition can apply for increased compensation. And even if the veteran's symptoms no longer warrant the current evaluation they have, okay, so you have a 50% rating for mental health, okay, and the rating schedule changes, you file for an increase, and even if your symptoms no longer warrant that 50%, that's what they're saying. If they no longer warrant that current evaluation they have based on the finalized changes, no reductions shall be made unless an improvement is in the veteran's disability, unless an improvement in the veteran's disability is shown to have occurred based on the last schedule used to assign their evaluation. So it's not that you don't rate, on the new one. They're going to say, okay, well, let's look at your old one and see where you fall. So you would actually have to get better enough based on the old rating schedule for them to reduce you. And I mean, it says it in their notification. There's the protections in the Code of Federal Regulations and public law and some other place that I forgot. So it's a little bit jumbled up the way they say it, and I can't read very good, so they made it even more exciting. But anyway, there you go.
I got 2 things for you. First, whenever you looked above your camera, right, we got to see the underside of your mustache. Dude, that thing is thick. Like, it's
Thank
thick
you.
front view, but looking up, dude, it's like a wall.
Tell me about it. You know what? I'm not going to lie. I've wanted to shave this thing off 1,000 times, man. My wife won't let me.
Yeah.
She knows what's underneath.
If you shave and just no warning did a video.
Just show up.
Didn't even mention it, Anyways, and Kishkin did say, again, he's one of our VA claim coaches, retired VA rater. He says, yes, it's precedent that a veteran who qualified before the changes gets to keep it. And I already know the number one question after we end this live and the comments are going to roll in. Am I going to keep my rating? Okay. Yes. Am I 100%? I'm 100% PNC. Am I going to keep my rating? The answer is yes. I'm INU. I'm IU PNT. Am I going to keep my rating? The answer is yes. I'm 100% scheduler. Am I going to keep my rating? The answer is yes. Okay?
My 50% sleep apnea.
Yes, right. Doesn't matter what rating you are. You could be 90% with sleep apnea, mental health, and tinnitus, and a bunch of other things that got you to 90. You are still going to be safe. I don't know how many times I have to say that for that question not to pop up. I guess 18 million.
Here's what has to happen, Clay. You have to get no new subscribers for about 3 months. So if you get no new subscribers, then you don't need to say it.
Ooh, look at that conviction right there. You're right. You're right. You got me. Okay. But yes, there are massive changes happening. That's not just a YouTube title. It's not just a YouTube thumbnail. There are massive changes happening. I don't think it's favorable at all. Some people do. Jason thinks mental health is favorable. So I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong. All that to say, the only thing that wins claims is evidence. That's it. It's not who you're doing your claim. It's not your VSO. It's not your lawyer. It's not your claims agent. It's not your VA claim company. It's not the Board of Appeals. None of that. None of that is winning your claim. It's only one thing, and that's evidence. Okay? That's why we named our company Evidence-Based VA Claims. We prioritize the theory of service connection. If it's direct, you need these. If it's secondary, you need these. If it's an aggravation claim, you need these. And your evidence must reflect. It must. It's not optional. It must. And that's really what the claim coach will do for you. They'll sit down with you, look at all of your evidence for every single claim you have, understand the theory of service connection, and then help you organize your claim in a way that is most advantageous to you, to the veteran. How we do that is the 5-step process. We look at increases first, then we look at secondaries, then we look at denials, then they're going to look at new claims, and then they're going to look at presumptive and terra. Basically, the 5-step process is just hammering out the theories of service connection, looking at evidence, and getting you service connected. So if you want help on your VA claim, email vaclaims@ebvaclaims.com, or you can visit ebvaclaims.com. Jason, what do you have in these last minutes?
I'm just going to throw this out there for those of you that are watching. Go get checked. Look, here's my thing. If there's a list of presumptives that you qualify for and you have none of them, make sure your doctor understands that you potentially could have any of these. The reason why they're presumptive conditions is because you are more susceptible to coming down with all of these horrible things. I hope to God none of them happen to any of you. But if you catch it early, you have a much better chance of getting past it. So don't take those presumptive lists lightly. Don't just skim through them to see if you can file a claim. Look at it as a preventive measure and utilize that information to share it with your private doctor or your VA doctor or whatever, and get screened. Even like melanoma type stuff, get the moles checked out, right? It's much better to catch it early and have minimal procedures versus major, right? A biopsy over an autopsy any day would be kind of the methodology there. So I feel like it's just an important thing that sometimes we get a little caught up in life. You're moving forward. The last thing you want to do is go to the doctor. But I'm telling you, you check it early, get things checked, let your doctors know the presumptives that you could presumably come down with. At least you have a list to work from. So that's it from me. You got anything else, Clay?
Last thing, we'll leave the quote. We'll leave the ending to Kish Can over here. Again, VA Raider, one of our claim coaches, says, one thing I'd like to say is that if you get the historical rating, so mental health right now, you cannot increase further in that historical rating than you already have when the changes happen, right? So if you're 50% and you would have been 70 on the old criteria,
Smart.
that ship has sailed, which is why we submit our claims right now. Anyways,
Right.
that's all we have. If you don't help each other, okay,
Mm.
and you're just a big old cloud like I am, and every conversation you bring, it says doom and gloom and raining, something went wrong.
That's right.
You like that? I like a little butter. Okay.
I love it.